This is the ENGWE L20 2.0 electric bike. Just looking at it, the L20 2.0 has a pretty solid step-through frame that's not too tall, and it rocks those chunky 20-inch by 3-inch tires. The overall vibe is modern yet practical, and the matte black finish actually looks better in person than I expected. I honestly wasn't sure how I'd feel about the slightly smaller frame or the somewhat urban cargo look, but after really getting hands-on with this bike, I get why ENGWE leaned this way. From my experience, riding the L20 2.0 has been a mix of real surprises and a couple of mild frustrations, but overall, it feels like a bike that was built by a company actually listening to feedback. One of the things I immediately appreciated is how easy it is to get on and off, especially with that step-through design. If you've ever struggled swinging your leg over a high-top tube, you'll know what I mean. For someone my height, just under 6 feet, the seat and handlebars adjust enough for a comfy fit. If you're a bit shorter, or even if you have some mobility issues, it's perfect for still being able to ride without stress. Let's run through some key features in this quick review. The powerhouse here is the 750-watt rear hub motor, which actually peaks at 1125 watt. It gives you a solid boost, producing 75 Nm of torque. That's the sort of punch you feel when you hit the throttle on a steep ramp. I put it to the test on some city hills, and I consistently saw speeds between 13 and 15 mile climbing uphill without feeling like I was maxing out the motor. On flat ground, it will get up to 28 miles per hour if you use the pedal assist, or 20 miles per hour on throttle only, which honestly is more than enough for the streets or trails where I live. The battery is a 52V 13Ah removable lithium-ion version. For anyone new to e-bikes, voltage contributes to both speed and range, and amp hours basically tell you how far you'll go per charge. In my case, with the pedal assist set to low, I got somewhere in the ballpark of 60 to 65 miles on one charge, mixing city streets with a few dirt paths. If you rely only on throttle, expect less, something like 25 to 30 miles before needing to recharge. If range anxiety bothers you, just know your real-world results will probably land a little below the official 68-mile max, but it's still solid for commutes and weekend trips. One thing I love is how portable this bike is. The L20 2.0 folds down quickly. Frame, handlebar stem, and even the pedals collapse, so you can stash it in the trunk of most cars. It's not exactly featherweight at 68 pounds, but compared to some other e-bikes I've tried, it's manageable. I even took it out to a nearby trailhead by car without a bike rack, so if you're short on storage space or want something you can actually move around, that's a win. Comfort was a surprise for me. There's a dual suspension setup, meaning you get a suspension fork at the front and also a suspension seat post, which smooths out most bumps and cracks in the road. The fat tires do their part here too, giving a stable, cushy ride on pavement, grass, and even a gravel path I tried out. The only time it felt a little sketchy was on loose gravel, but honestly, that's true for most bikes unless you're running super wide tires. The seat is decent, way better than the hard, narrow ones you find on some e-bikes, so long rides didn't leave me sore. Now, let's talk brakes. The L20 2.0 comes with mechanical disc brakes and bigger than average 180mm rotors. What that means for anyone new is you get better stopping power than smaller rotors, but because these are cable brakes, you'll be adjusting them more often compared to hydraulic brakes. I have to say, for general commuting and light trails, they get the job done, but I wouldn't mind an upgrade on future models. Simple is good for maintenance, but just prepare for a longer stopping distance on steep descents. If you're like me, you care about the gears. The L20 2.0 has a 7-speed Shimano drivetrain, which is pretty standard for budget-friendly e-bikes. Here's where I ran into a small letdown. The gearing range is narrow with a 48-tooth chainring and a 1428T cassette. What that means is going up really steep hills can feel tough, even with the electric assist. And when you're riding fast, even at 20 miles per hour, you might feel like your legs are spinning without resistance. Lots of people call this ghost pedaling. I wish there were more gears, maybe a 9-speed setup, to help with pedaling at high speed or on really steep routes. Riding in the dark, the bike comes with a headlight and brake-activated rear light. The headlight is always pointing straight ahead because of how it's mounted, so it doesn't follow your turns. For casual night rides it's fine, but if you need a really bright light or you want it to track your handlebar, I'd suggest picking up a better aftermarket light. Let's talk usability. The display is a color LCD right in the middle of the bars, showing your speed, battery, and pedal assist mode. It's intuitive enough, and I never found it distracting. The control panel lets you move through 5 pedal assist levels. If you want zero effort, turn up to PAS5, and the motor almost does everything for you. There's also a thumb throttle for when you just want to sit back and cruise. For anyone worried about assembly, the L20 2.0 came 85% pre-built. I only had to mount the front tire, adjust the handlebars, and plug in a few wires. It took under an hour. Storage is another bonus for me. There's a rear rack that holds up to 55 pounds. I used it for groceries, and it handled things securely. The front rack is smaller, but works for a backpack or some lighter gear. The battery pops out easily. Just unlock it, slide it up, and you can charge indoors, which is a lifesaver in bad weather or apartment living. Now, there are a few things I'd change if I could. I don't love that you have to keep the key in the battery to power the bike. It makes me worry about snapping it, or losing the key while out riding. Also, while the suspension is nice, sometimes the front fork bottoms out on big hits, and it does creak a little if you're riding rough. The motor noise caught me off guard too. It's got that high-pitched electric whine, especially when climbing. It's not deal-breaking for me, but it could bother someone who really values a quiet ride. In my opinion, the L20 2.0 hits a sweet spot for people who want power, decent comfort, and foldability, all at a reasonable price. It's perfect for riding around town, city commutes, or light recreational rides. If you're tall, say over 6'2", it might feel a bit cramped, so keep that in mind. For daily use, errands, or just getting more time outside, this bike makes sense. I'd recommend this for new riders who want an easy introduction to e-bikes, people with limited storage, or anyone who needs something that's easy to transport and doesn't mind a little bit of maintenance. If you're expecting high-end performance or plan to tackle hardcore mountain trails, you'll probably want to spend more for a different setup. For most commuters, casual riders, or weekend adventurers, this bike covers the basics and adds in a little fun. In conclusion, ENGWE actually listened here and upgraded from their previous model in meaningful ways. Sure, there are a couple of areas for future improvement, but as an all-around budget e-bike, the L20 2.0 gives you solid value for the price. I've enjoyed testing it out, and it reminded me how much little design tweaks can make a difference. If you're thinking about e-bikes, the L20 2.0 is worth a closer look. If this quick review was helpful, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and drop your questions or thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching.